Some towns have secrets buried beneath their foundations, hidden histories waiting for the right moment to surface. What if, beneath the quiet streets and familiar storefronts, there was something long forgotten, something that had been lying in the dark, untouched for generations, until now? Welcome, and settle in as we uncover a discovery that turned an ordinary day into a moment that changed everything. A simple clothing store, a sudden tremor, and a floor that gave way to a mystery stretching deep beneath the earth. What lay hidden beneath Stephanie's shop? And why had it remained undiscovered for so long? Let's step into the shadows and find out. In a small, unassuming town nestled among rolling hills and ancient trees, the rhythm of life was simple, predictable, and slow. That tranquility was shattered one late autumn afternoon when whispers of a shocking discovery began to spread like wildfire. Beneath the quiet facade of Stephanie's clothing store, a hidden tunnel had been uncovered. The revelation sent shockwaves through the tight-knit community, and speculation quickly grew into a maelstrom of wild theories. Stephanie had purchased the store 5 years earlier, drawn by its vintage charm and central location. When she acquired the property, the building appeared to be in immaculate condition, solid floor, sturdy walls, and a sense of history embedded in its structure. She had made minimal changes, choosing only to redecorate the interior to reflect her own aesthetic preferences. She never imagined that beneath its well-kept exterior lay a mystery waiting to be unearthed. It all began with a seemingly innocuous event, a mild earthquake that caused a barely noticeable tremor in the ground. In most places, it might not have warranted a second thought, but in this town, where seismic activity was nearly unheard of, it was the talk of the day. Stephanie was restocking shelves when the tremor struck. A low rumble passed through the building, and before she could react, the floor beneath her gave way with a loud, splintering crack. She screamed as she fell, clutching at shelves and displays in a desperate attempt to stop her descent. Fortunately, her fall was brief, and she landed with a thud on a hard, dusty surface. For a moment she lay there, disoriented and gasping, before gingerly sitting up to assess her surroundings. What she saw stole the breath from her lungs. She found herself in a dark, narrow space, the air cool and damp around her. Her flashlight, which had fallen from her grasp, flickered weakly on the ground beside her. As she picked it up and directed its beam ahead, the light illuminated a long, shadowy tunnel stretching into impenetrable darkness. The walls were made of aged brick, damp and moss-covered, while the floor bore the unmistakable marks of long-forgotten footsteps. Stephanie's first instinct was to climb back to safety. Her heart pounded as she scrambled out of the hole, her mind racing with questions and fears. What was this tunnel? Who had built it, and why? She hastily flipped the store sign to "closed" and locked the door, her hands trembling as she dialed the local police. Captain Richard, the town's respected and methodical chief of police, arrived on the scene with 3 of his officers. The team approached the discovery with a mix of professionalism and growing curiosity. After listening to Stephanie's account and examining the hole in the floor, they knew they were dealing with something out of the ordinary. Calling in experts to assess the stability of the structure was their first priority. Once the professionals deemed it safe, Captain Richard and his officers prepared to explore the mysterious tunnel. Equipped with flashlights and a growing sense of unease, the team descended into the darkness. The tunnel was narrow, forcing them to walk single file, their footsteps echoing faintly in the oppressive silence. The air grew colder and thicker as they ventured deeper, and the light from the surface faded behind them, leaving only the dim glow of their flashlights to guide the way. Minutes into their descent, a flicker of light caught their attention. It was faint and irregular, barely visible against the darkness, but unmistakably present. The officers exchanged tense glances. What could it be? As they drew closer, they slowed their steps, the weight of anticipation and dread settling heavily on their shoulders. Captain Richard stopped abruptly, raising a hand to signal the others to halt. He squinted into the distance, trying to make sense of what he was seeing. Beside the flickering light, a shadowy figure seemed to materialize, a vague outline that sent a shiver down his spine. The silence that followed was deafening. Then, in the blink of an eye, the figure vanished. The officers rushed forward, their flashlights cutting through the darkness, only to find a reflective object affixed to the wall. The light they had seen was nothing more than a trick of the shadows, but the unease lingered. The tunnel branched ahead of them, splitting into two separate paths. Captain Richard examined the fork with a frown. Splitting up wasn't an option, not without a clear understanding of the tunnel's layout or the potential dangers lurking within. He raised his radio to call for backup, but static crackled in response. The thick walls of the underground passageway had severed their connection to the outside world. The officers marked their position with a makeshift symbol, ensuring they could retrace their steps, and began the cautious journey back to the surface. The tunnel's oppressive silence seemed louder than ever, each footfall echoing like a gunshot. Once back in the open air, Captain Richard wasted no time organizing a more comprehensive investigation. The situation called for experts, geologists to assess the structural integrity of the tunnels, historians to unravel their origin, and archaeologists to analyze any artifacts found within. The once quiet clothing store transformed into a bustling hub of activity as specialists arrived from neighboring towns and cities. Among the artifacts recovered from the tunnel was a small, ornate medallion found embedded in one of the walls. Its intricate design featured geometric patterns and symbols that seemed to defy easy interpretation. Captain Richard felt a strange connection to the object, as though it held the key to the questions swirling around them. As the team gathered around the aged medallion, its craftsmanship captivated their collective imagination. Intricate symbols spiraled across its surface, their meanings lost to time, but whispering of a purpose yet to be uncovered. As the first rays of dawn brushed the horizon, the research headquarters buzzed with electrifying energy. Tables overflowed with neatly arranged supplies, cutting-edge exploration equipment, painstakingly detailed maps, and specialized tools designed to uncover the tunnel's secrets. Captain Richard, a seasoned leader with an unshakable air of authority, addressed the group. "We have one chance to do this right," he said, his voice steady. He outlined the plan, ensuring that every team member was clear on their role. Safety protocols were emphasized repeatedly, leaving no room for oversight. Gear was distributed, helmets with mounted flashlights, sturdy spelunking equipment, and high-tech gadgets capable of deciphering ancient symbols. Among the tools was a miniature spectrometer for analyzing materials and a handheld device to create 3D models of the tunnel system. Nothing was overlooked. The entrance to the tunnel loomed like a portal to another world, its gaping maw cloaked in darkness. The team stood silently, their flashlights creating scattered beams that illuminated the stone walls. With every step, the world above seemed to recede. The faint hum of daily life gave way to an oppressive quiet. It was as if the tunnel were swallowing them whole, its silence broken only by the soft scrape of boots against stone. To ensure they could retrace their steps, the team marked their path meticulously, placing reflective tags at intervals. These tags glittered like stars when caught by their flashlights, a reassuring sign of their escape route. In these dim and ancient passageways, a family of explorers was being forged. The first room they entered was a treasure trove of artifacts. Ornate furniture, its woodwork bearing the patina of centuries, stood alongside faded paintings that depicted forgotten eras. Garments of intricate design lay preserved in chests, their delicate stitching telling stories of bygone grandeur. In another room, relics of war lay undisturbed, faded uniforms, dented helmets, and poignant letters exchanged between soldiers painted a haunting picture of the town's resilience during conflict. Deep within the tunnel system, the team encountered walls adorned with cryptic symbols, illuminated by the glow of their flashlights. These etchings seemed to pulse with a meaning just out of reach. The group immediately set to work documenting the symbols. Days passed as they studied the patterns, cross-referencing them against known languages and codes. Their determination was unyielding. Then a breakthrough came. They identified connections between the symbols and the markings on the medallion. The realization sent a wave of excitement through the team. The medallion was not just an artifact, it was a key.